Today, we're diving into the exciting world of infinitives. These little grammatical powerhouses may seem simple, but they have a lot of hidden depths waiting to be explored. In this video, we'll uncover the different forms infinitives can take, discover their various uses, and even explore some special cases that might surprise you. By the time we're done, you'll have a better understanding of these versatile grammatical constructions and how to use them effectively in your own writing and speech. So, grab a snack, get comfy, and let's embark on this infinitive adventure together. Infinitive forms, the many faces of infinitives. First things first, let's talk about the different forms infinitives can take. The most basic form is the present infinitive, which you probably know as to, followed by a verb, like to work or to do. It's like the classic look of the infinitive world. But did you know there are also continuous, perfect, and perfect continuous infinitives? These forms are like the trendy outfits of the infinitive fashion scene. Check this out. Present continuous infinitive. To be working, to be doing. Perfect infinitive, to have worked, to have done. Perfect continuous infinitive, to have been working, to have been doing. And let's not forget about the passive forms, the sophisticated evening wear of the infinitive wardrobe. Present infinitive passive, to be done. Perfect infinitive passive, to have been done. Now, here's a fun fact. Sometimes you'll see the infinitive without the to. This is called the bare infinitive, and it shows up after certain verbs and expressions. For example, in the sentence, "You had better say nothing," say is a bare infinitive. It's like the rebellious cousin of the regular infinitive, ditching the to and going solo. Uses of the infinitive. The Swiss Army knife of grammar. Now that we know the different forms, let's talk about how infinitives are used in sentences. They're like the Swiss Army knives of grammar, serving multiple purposes and adapting to various situations. Infinitives can be used. 1. As the subject of a sentence. To save money now seems impossible. 2. As the complement of a verb. His plan is to keep the affair secret. 3. As the object or part of the object of a verb. He wants to pay. 4. To express commands or instructions. To open, push the button. 5. To express purpose. I'm going to the store to buy milk. And that's just the beginning. Infinitives can also be used after certain adjectives like angry, glad, happy, and sorry. They can connect clauses, replace relative clauses, and even be used with to or enough to show the consequence of an action. For example, she was too tired to continue. He had enough courage to admit his mistake. Pretty cool, right? It's like having a multi-tool in your grammar toolkit, ready to tackle any sentence structure that comes your way. The infinitive as subject, the introductory it trick. Let's dive a little deeper into using infinitives as subjects. Usually they follow verbs like appear, be, or seem. For example, to compromise appears advisable. To lean out of the window is dangerous. But here's a pro tip. It's more common to use an introductory it and move the infinitive to the end of the sentence. It's like a grammatical magic trick that makes your sentences sound more natural. So instead of saying, to compromise appears advisable, you'd say, it appears advisable to compromise. And instead of, to lean out of the window is dangerous, you'd say, it is dangerous to lean out of the window. This structure is especially useful for asking questions like, would it be safe to camp here? Wouldn't it be better to go on? Remember, When you're using an infinitive as the subject, you can also include adjectives or nouns to describe it. It's like adding accessories to your infinitive outfit to make it more specific and stylish. For instance, it would be a crime to cut down any more trees. It is an offense to drop litter in the street. With this trick up your sleeve, you'll be crafting elegant and effective sentences in no time. The infinitive as object or complement, the direct and indirect approach. Infinitives are also commonly used as objects or complements of verbs. It's like they're the trusty sidekicks of the verb world, always ready to lend a helping hand. Some verbs like agree, decide, hope, and promise can be followed directly by an infinitive. It's the direct approach, like a straight line from the verb to the infinitive. For example, she agreed to pay $50. I managed to put the fire out. They are preparing to evacuate the area. But watch out. Sometimes the meaning changes depending on whether you use an infinitive or a that clause. It's like the infinitive and the that clause are two different roads leading to slightly different destinations. For instance, if you say, he forgot to leave the car keys on the table, it means he didn't leave them. But if you say, he forgot that his brother wanted to use the car, it means he didn't remember. And if you really want to impress your grammar friends, try using the continuous or perfect infinitive after verbs like appear, happen, pretend, and seem. It's like adding a fancy upgrade to your infinitive ride. For example, I happened to be looking out of the window when they arrived. He seems to have been a great athlete when he was younger. Some verbs need an object before the infinitive. It's like the infinitive is the final destination, but you need to pick up a passenger, the object, along the way. These verbs include gems like advise, allow, encourage, invite, persuade, and teach. For instance, she encouraged me to try again. They invited us to join them for dinner. He taught me to ride a bike. And here's a fun one. With verbs like know, believe, and consider, you can use an object plus infinitive construction in the passive voice. It's like the object is being chauffeured by the infinitive. For example, he is known to be honest. This painting is believed to be a genuine Picasso. Just be careful with tell and say. They don't always mean the same thing when followed by an infinitive or a that clause. It's like they have split personalities depending on their grammatical company. For instance, he told me to go is an order, while he told me that he was leaving is giving information. The bare infinitive, the rebel without to. Remember when we talked about the bare infinitive earlier? It's time to dive a little deeper into this rebellious form. The bare infinitive is used after modal verbs like can, may, must, shall, and will. It's like these modals are too cool for the to and prefer to hang out with the bare infinitive instead. For example, they could do it today. I may as well start at once. He will probably object. The bare infinitive also shows up after verbs like feel, hear, see, and watch, but only in the active voice. In the passive voice, they take the full infinitive. It's like the bare infinitive is allergic to the passive voice. For instance, in the active voice, you'd say, I heard him lock the door. But in the passive voice, you'd say, he was heard to say that he disagreed. And let's not forget about let and make. They're special cases that demand the bare infinitive's attention. For example, let me think about it. Bare infinitive. I was made to apologize. full infinitive in the passive. With the bare infinitive in your grammatical arsenal, you'll be able to navigate these unique situations with ease. Infinitive phrases, the sentence. Superheroes. Infinitive phrases are like the superheroes of the grammar world. They can swoop in at the beginning or end of a sentence to add extra information or emphasis, saving the day with their descriptive powers. For example, to be honest, I don't really like spinach. He studied hard to pass the exam. And if you want to get really fancy, try using an infinitive phrase to show a disappointing or unexpected result. It's like adding a plot twist to your sentence. For instance, he rushed to the station only to find that the train had already left. With infinitive phrases by your side, you'll be able to craft sentences that pack a punch and keep your readers engaged. The perfect infinitive, the time-traveling tense. The perfect infinitive is formed with to have plus past participle, and it's used to talk about actions that happened before the main verb. It's like a time-traveling tense that lets you reference the past within the context of the present or future. For example, he seems to have forgotten our appointment. I'm sorry, I meant to have called you earlier. The perfect infinitive is also used with modal verbs to talk about past possibilities, regrets, or criticisms. It's like a grammatical what-if machine, allowing you to explore alternate realities. For instance, I could have won if I had tried harder. You shouldn't have eaten so much cake. With the perfect infinitive in your toolkit, you'll be able to express complex ideas about the past and its relationship to the present and future. The perfect infinitive continuous, the time-stretching tense. Now, let's talk about the perfect infinitive continuous, which is like the perfect infinitive's more complex cousin. It's formed with to have been plus present participle, and it's used to emphasize the duration or continuity of an action that happened before the main verb. For example, he seems to have been waiting for hours. She must have been studying all night. This form is especially useful when you want to highlight the ongoing nature of a past action, or when you want to express a deduction or speculation about a continuous action in the past. It's like stretching time to get a closer look at what was happening. I should have been paying more attention to the road. They can't have been sleeping this whole time. With the perfect infinitive continuous, you'll be able to add depth and nuance to your descriptions of past actions and their relationship to the present.
Past tense shows what's done and gone. Simple facts that we lean on. Walked and talked from yesterday. Actions that have passed away. Past and perfect, clear to see. Grammar guides for you and me. Perfect shows what's done complete. Past is just an action fleet. Perfect tense, it's more precise. Shows an action once or twice. Have or has before the verb. Have eaten, now you've heard. Past and perfect, clear to see. Grammar guides for you and me. Perfect shows what's done complete. Past is just an action fleet. Finished tasks and time's gone by. Grammar rules that don't lie. With these tools, our speech is bright, clear and crisp, day and night. Past tense verbs, they tell a tale. Jumped and played, the ship set sail. Perfect verbs, they show it all. Have seen, has been, standing tall. Past and perfect, clear to see. Grammar guides for you and me. Perfect shows what's done complete. Past is just an action fleet. shining bright, clear and true. Every line past and perfect, now they shine.